Welcome to The Creative Influencer, where we discuss all things creative with an emphasis on influencers. The Creative Influencer is hosted by John Pfeiffer. John is an entertainment attorney in Santa Monica, California, who represents influencers and other creatives.
This is episode 6 of the first season of the Creative Influencer podcast. Today we interview Evegail Andal. Evegail shares insights from her life as a talent manager and what she looks for in new clients. And, spoiler alert, Evegail has a dog for a client, Ken the Corgi. And no, we don't interview Ken. Today I'm joined by Evegail Andal. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You are a talent manager at Matter Media Group.
Mm-hmm.
And that's accurate, but not fully accurate because it is your talent agency, correct?
Correct, yes.
You're the founder?
Yes, I am.
When did you found it?
It will be 2 years next week, actually. Or actually, sorry, this Sunday.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
And happy anniversary, I guess.
Yes, thank you.
I want to ask you about the journey to where you are.
Okay.
But first, I'd be burying the lead if I didn't ask about one of your clients.
Okay.
You have a dog for a client.
We do.
And the dog's name is Ken, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Ken has over 550,000 Instagram followers.
Mm-hmm.
How did Ken become such a hit?
That was not me who did that. That was his face. His owner, who's another client of ours, Mia Stammer, is the one who started his account and started it just out of fun and not even thinking about the brand opportunities or the business aspect. So then we kind of talked about it a little bit more, and I said, well, you're posting, he's growing, or your accounts are growing. Why not kind of figure it out in that aspect and see if there's an opportunity to do more with him? And it's been amazing.
Now, there was a famous photo of a monkey that took a picture of himself.
Yes, I know.
The monkey selfie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now with the dog, who owns the account?
Mia does.
Okay.
Mia definitely does.
Okay, are there unforeseen challenges in managing a dog?
Not being able to communicate with him, that's for sure. It's kind of hard to confirm deadlines.
Now, Ken the dog is following 71 accounts.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that? How does a dog follow an account?
It's all his friends that's on his face, all of his furry friends. I think Doug is one of the other people that he follows, Doug the Pug, if anyone knows who he is. He's another great dog that's out there.
I was looking at the different posts, and in one of them, Ken is in a picture with BarkBox.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you a couple FTC questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
How do you verify that Ken likes the box?
So in the box, there's actually different toys that he would be able to play with.
Okay.
And Mia, I believe, chose quite a few, through a few, and that deciphered whether or not he was into it.
Okay. So she actually did check.
She actually helped him pick out some stuff, and then he played with all of them.
Was there any debate about the hashtag, whether there should be a hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored?
No, not a debate at all. It's always something we never say no to.
Okay.
Because it isn't an understanding.
Well, the reason I ask is there's another one with Ken and Mia and Greenie's Pumpkin Spice Treat. Mm-hmm. So there's an actual, Mia's in it.
Mia is in it.
And there's a hashtag ad on that one.
Yes. That is true. Okay. So Mia, yes, Ken was fortunate enough to work with Greenies. It's his favorite treat. we can't argue that. Yeah, he had a great time shooting for that particular campaign. I think there were 4 or maybe 5 different shoots for that particular one. So he had to eat like 5 treats. I don't think it was
tough work.
Tough.
Are there other? I know there are other dogs on Instagram. There's
Yes.
a lot of other pets on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any feel for how many of those actually have a following with their sponsorships?
In terms of their accounts? Or?
Yes, in terms of the accounts.
Gosh, I think any any pet that actually has over 100,000 followers probably has some type of ad or sponsored post there. Only because, just like myself, I am someone who loves dogs, so I'm following dogs with massive following as well, because it's just a genuine thing that I absolutely love. But I know that there's a lot of brands out there that are catering to human, like us, and they want to actually work with different furry friends. So, yeah.
Do dogs have more following than cats? I'm going on a total animal tangent.
No. I actually don't know that answer, but I would assume yes, because
dogs are nicer.
Dogs are nicer, and I'm very biased. I love dogs more. So yeah, I do think dogs have more of a following than cats.
Okay.
Yes.
But you mentioned about 100,000. Any animal with over 100,000 followers usually. And I was looking at your client list on your website. You have a full range of clients in the terms of numbers of followers, from huge numbers down to someone with modest numbers by comparison.
Right.
How do you determine, what factor does that play in whether you determine to work with an influencer?
Right, and that's actually a great question, because the way that we've always recruited talent, or the way that we work with talent, is based off of our passion for them. If we do see something very unique with a particular influencer, we feel like there is something to develop with them, that is something that we're completely drawn to, or the way that they cater to their audience and engage with them and create content. That's something that we'll use as a draw, and are very, very much inspired by and motivated to do more for these people.
How do you spot that?
That's another.
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, it's actually just instinct. A lot of the talent that I've worked with for the past over 5 years now have always been through my sentiment. Because my background is also something that's drawn from the love of YouTube. As a subscriber way back when, I felt a connection with all of these influencers, and particular ones, specifically the ones that I subscribed to. And there was something about each one of them where I felt connected to. And that was the main thing that I needed with the clients that we work with.
Now, do you look for YouTube first and then Instagram, or does it?
Before it was YouTube. Now I do both. Now it's more of wherever we are drawn to whatever platform and their content, that's where we're going to go.
Now, you said you have a love of YouTube.
Yes.
Did you subscribe early on?
I did.
How did you find it?
How did I find YouTube? Through the pet videos. It's kind of sad, but also very funny. It was through through different realms, from the comedy videos that we used to see, or that where a lot of the videos originated from was on that platform. But way back when, I was on the brand side of things, so I was at NYX Cosmetics, and I was doing PR and social media outreach for them, and also building their social media platforms. And it was then where I had a love for YouTube, and I was working in building these influencer relationships with these YouTubers, so I loved my job.
So you were on the other side, though.
I was absolutely on the other
side. So let me take you back. It's a great transition.
Okay.
So you graduated with a PR and journalism degree.
Yes.
And I stalked you on LinkedIn.
Okay, that's good.
I got it off of LinkedIn. And then you worked at different, mostly on the marketing side, wasn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And did you set up their social media programs for them?
For the brand sides I did, but NYX was actually the first brand that I worked with that I was able to be more hands-on.
And when was that?
That was, oh my gosh, blanking out, but it was over 5 years ago, way over 5 years.
And what did you do for them?
I was doing PR and social media, so for that, within those terms, or now it's actually very vague what to do, but back then I started their Instagram account. I was engaging with all of their customers and also trying to reinvent the social media marketing side for the brand. Back then, their largest following was on Facebook, so I was on Facebook, trying to communicate with everyone there, promoting all of the different products that we're launching, all of the different sales and retailers that were partnered with the brand. And then on the YouTube side, I also started a YouTube channel with them.
For them?
For them. And it was called Exclusive TV. And that's where I started bringing in different influencers and interviewing them in the studio at NYX Cosmetics and just asking them different stories or different questions about how they started, what their love for the brand was, and how they got introduced to the brand. And I think from that point on, it was a light that flashed, and I said, wait a minute, that's where the connection is. It's the brand and the influencer that just need to talk and get to know one another. And once the brand understands who this particular person is, they can build something together if it makes sense.
And it hasn't been that many years, but were there the full range of agents and managers and lawyers that did this back then?
No way. I remember this one situation where I was trying to reach out to different influencers via email about sending products out and making sure that they had an ample amount of supplies of the NYX products. And I get a phone call from a manager from one of the influencers that I reached out to, and I put my phone on mute and I looked at my colleague and I said, "What? A manager?" I said, "Who is this person? That's not real."
What influencer would have a manager?
Right. I said, "What YouTuber would have a manager? Like, this doesn't make sense." And then I picked up the phone again. But I had a very long-winded conversation with my colleagues about this at the time, and I was baffled by the fact that this person had a manager. Because I thought of celebrities, athletes, these really big, more influential people than traditional influential people would only have a team.
So you've seen it more from an individual just with a computer.
Right.
To now they're celebrities.
Right. Now, well, after that was much more, I built an understanding around the influencer and their, what their business is about, or what more there is for them to develop outside of just a channel or an Instagram account.
As a manager, what do you do?
The way that I like...
And how has it evolved?
Okay, yes, yeah. So how it's evolved since that conversation
yes.
that I had on the phone, immensely. I think the realm of digital has evolved so dramatically since even that moment that I was at NYX Cosmetics, where even then we were trying to figure out the YouTube community and how we could cater to it, because quite honestly, that's where our consumers were. They were people who were fans of these influencers or bloggers or, whatever, Facebook famous people. But that was just something that was really the one thing that we wanted to embrace. And that's how we actually developed our own, Vlogger of the Year contest with NYX Cosmetics. And that was, honestly, that was also part of my love for the brand too, because we were really trying to dive deep and really pull in that community to be more of a community versus this, I guess more of like the stepchild of media back then.
And it's no longer the stepchild.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Definitely not that at all.
Now, back then, blogging in the mix of influence was huge.
Right.
How do you see it now?
Now it's still there. It is present. And it's kind of strange how a lot of the older talent or influencers are trying to even create blogs too. I think a lot of the influencers see a blog and say it could be more of an editorial aspect or as a website, however, but it is still existing. I personally don't have so much of a touch with the blog world, but we do have 2 of our clients that do have blogs and are actually viewed quite well. But in the bigger spectrum, it's still existing. I'm just not that involved.
And then Facebook used to be huge. Where do you see it in the marketing mix now?
Now I see it evolving still, because, with Facebook and the ability for different users to now upload videos and build their own, their own website on Facebook, it's more used as a community-facing, platform versus an Instagram or even Twitter or any other platform as well. I think Facebook still has a lot to do in order for it to be maybe seen on the same level as Instagram, but I do think that Facebook is there for more of a more mature audience.
So demographically, you're saying the teenagers are no longer there.
Yeah, they're no longer there. It's not there. I mean, I'm still drawn to Facebook for certain things, but not entirely everything.
So you started to tell us as it's evolved, but now as we sit here today, what do you do for your clients?
Well, as a manager, I am their day-to-day contact. We actually have a team of three including myself in our talent management department. So we act as their point of contact for anything and everything. So in terms of what we do on the day-to-day, we build out their calendars, their schedules, their strategies for their channels or platforms. We bring them different opportunities from the branded side to event-facing opportunities as well. And then there is the outside business that's outside of the digital platforms, which is merchandise, collaborations, and traditional
tours
media, and whatever they want. Sky is the limit.
So you get down in the weeds with them.
Absolutely.
Do you keep track of their deliverables?
I do.
How do you do that?
Oh, millions of platforms and apps. 2 notebooks. No, I actually have I have a system. I personally am very OCD, so I have a calendar with all of our clients, calendars themselves, all very color coordinated, and each one of our clients has access to see what is due and when. Yes. And then we use different apps internally for us to communicate as far as what's been done, because we have so many things that need to be done by everybody, right, that it's the only way that we would be able to facilitate everything that needs to be done in a very orderly way.
And do clients sometimes have you help them draft tweets, draft
Yes.
posts?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like I'm a copywriter also, part-time. but it's actually a really positive thing though when they do look to us to write for them, right, because that means there's a built trust. And that means that we know them well enough to write out their content and send it out and say, okay, is this fine? And then once they're good, we're good. Because that, again, that's a value that we obviously have.
When you're working with brands, how often do they say, close, but we need you to tweak it?
Yeah, very often. And my one thing is always getting their suggestion and saying, okay, well, what would you want it to be revised to? And then if they write in the revision, I'll say, okay, well, I'm going to tweak it to be within whoever's voice that we're working on that campaign with.
When you're working with some of the big brands, some of the name, which I'm not going to mention, but some of the
Sure.
big companies, mm-hmm, how many of them have compliance programs in place?
All of them. Larger ones, for sure. Definitely.
And do they actually check in the sense of you must submit this to us first before it goes live? It's talking about a video.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, even the growing brands and smaller brands are becoming, well, actually, we enforce them to be within, or to follow those steps. Because for us, it's a process. And for us, we also want to make sure that we're also kept accountable as much as they are. And I think that's the only way. If we were to have a plan and a process for everyone, and it's the same thing, it's seamless. Yeah.
Because in the last year, I've had clients that didn't
right.
come to me and say, we need something.
Okay. Yes. No, definitely. It's always something that we make sure that we're very transparent about it. We're very communicative. Even if we don't have updates, let's just say, for example, one of the brands are looking for the revised post, and on our side we haven't heard back from our client. we just go ahead and tell them, like, I haven't heard back yet, so I'll keep you posted.
How does working with digital talent differ from working as a manager for a traditional TV actor or movie star?
I don't think there is much of a difference. I think the only difference is that the traditional star has a set to go to, and they have a set schedule, whereas the digital talent, they work around the clock. And our clients are all over the US, so our time zones are fluctuating in different ways. But I think that our jobs are quite the same.
Because I've heard that from agents as well. The more successful digital talent, how disciplined are they?
I think most of them are quite disciplined. Those that are more proactive with their content, and they plan out everything that they need to post on every platform, they are quite disciplined. However, we have the other talent out there that are more free-spirited and want to do things their own way. That's fine. However, when there is business to be handled, there is business to be handled in a timely way.
So I'm not talking out of school, because the episode will have aired before yours does.
Okay.
Alicia Marie was talking
Yes.
about burnout.
Yes.
How do you counsel your clients about burnout and how to keep fresh?
Yeah. Well, you know, even with Alicia's case, it was something quite, sensitive. With our talent, we always make sure that they put themselves first. And that's a personal value of mine that I wanted to make sure that we bring here to Matter Media Group, because I think within the different companies that I've worked with, and for, whether it was a brand or another management or agency, I felt like everything was so transactional and just business facing, which is great, that is the career path.
Right.
But there was something that I had to personally deal with where I had to put myself first. And that's the perspective that I have with all of our talent now. It's, if you don't feel comfortable, or if you don't feel right with yourself or the content that you're putting out there, that is something that we need to talk about. How can we help you take a breath and take a step back? Because that's important.
How often do you have to have those conversations?
Often. It's often more of a reminder of who comes first, and I think that's where the digital talent or talent in general kind of lose themselves. It's within it's within the social media chaos that they see. It's the things that they see on all of these platforms that they either feel competitive to do or be a part of or want to be a part of. And that's the part that makes me a bit more concerning, is that you don't want to get lost in that world. You created your channel or your platform or post things because that's what you believe in. So we try to bring them back and just reiterate the fact that you're human.
And you can post 24/7.
Yes.
You can't be in front of a camera at a movie set 24/7.
No, right, exactly.
Shifting gears.
Sure.
In your view, when does an influencer need a manager?
I think an influencer definitely needs a manager when they feel like they are losing control. Whether or not that's the opportunities that come to them, or that they don't know what to do or how to post things or how to strategically utilize their content for different platforms, that's when they need someone. And I think that's been more of the case now versus the brand opportunities or opportunities in general, because the thing is that we like to remind our clients too is that the brand opportunities will come. Don't worry about that. You need to focus on the content and what you want, what you're happy and proud posting. And that's where we build out the strategy part with each one of them.
Say that you are at capacity, but somebody comes to you and said, what should I look for in a manager? Mm-hmm. What would you tell them?
I would say...
Because obviously you're going to say, you look for me. Yeah.
No. I would tell them, make sure that the person that you're looking for understands what your wants are and what your needs are and can decipher the two. Because that gets lost in translation. Also, be sure that this person or this team really really wants to work for you and with you, because again, those are two different things as well. And then the other thing is that there is a relationship between the two, between the client and the manager, and not just personal, but just having that relationship to be, to understand one another and to have that communication.
That right fit both ways.
Exactly, and it's very open. It's not anything where one person is hiding another thing because they don't want to step on anyone's toes or be too sensitive around certain things. It's more of that open and genuine relationship.
You were talking earlier about working on the brand side.
Right.
And then you shifted and you started working on the talent side.
Yes.
How did you get your first client?
I was a subscriber to her. And I looked, and the way that I was always taught to see if they were a part of management or had a manager was to see their business email address in their about page on YouTube.
Whether it went to them personally or whether it went to a manager?
Right. And if they had, the management email, then I'll just lay off. If they had their personal, I'll send them a note. So it was that moment where I saw that this one person had her personal email out there, and I said, cool, gonna email her, see what happens. And it was after one email, I didn't even have to follow up. And I scheduled a call, we got along really well. She gave me a week to kind of think about it and review the contract, and then it was a sealed deal.
And I know a lot of your clients now come from referrals, but how do you get other clients?
Stalking them.
So you still reach out?
Yes, if there is something that I do uniquely see.
How many hours a day do you consume content on the web?
24 hours. Honestly, maybe, oh gosh, it's all day. And that's something I'm personally trying to cut off.
Is it more YouTube or more Instagram, or what's the mix?
So, in the morning, my day is playing YouTube videos of our clients and making sure that I'm not just watching them, but hearing them. And if it's me playing it while I'm doing emails, that's the way I'm going to start my day. And then the next part is when I'm not on emails, I'm going to go through Instagram and kind of just scroll. Then same for Twitter. Although now we actually have someone who's designated to see what's going on and what's happening and going through IG stories and all of the other good stuff.
So basically it's evolved, the industry's evolved to script coverage
Yes.
for YouTube videos.
Yes, there's so much that's changed. I mean, Instagram itself has kind of like taken off in another way.
I noticed that most of your clients, except for the dog, sorry, it's a great dog.
Yeah, great.
Are female and in the beauty or lifestyle space.
Mm-hmm.
Did you consciously do that, or did it kind of evolve on its own?
Well, it actually started when my previous management company, or the company that I used to work with, they were more focused within fashion, lifestyle, and beauty. And my clients and my relationships with them have been incredibly loyal, where they followed me everywhere. In every transition that I've been into, I was very fortunate about that. So it actually happened quite well. Whereas even my background in all the brands that I've worked with, they've all been focused within beauty or fashion. So I feel like it happened on accident in some weird way.
It just evolved that way.
Yeah, it's evolved that way, but it is something that we are open to transition out of. Because our talent is also transitioning out of that niche, and they're trying to do so many multiple things that we're definitely trying to ride with them.
I heard a bartender make a joke about a woman last week, actually.
Uh-huh.
And it clearly wasn't true, but she said a woman came in, had 6 children, and she was mad at all of them. Do you ever have those days?
A lot. But it doesn't last for very
Right.
long. Yeah, it doesn't last very long, but I do feel like I do have children of my own, and that's where the connection is also stronger. It's not just so much of client basis, it's so much more. I joke around too with, my family, my parents, for example, and I show them my call list, and they're like, I don't know any one of them, and I said, I know, those are all of my clients, or just random numbers that pop up. So yeah, I fully believe that.
Other than because you are there 24/7 for them,
Right.
what are some of the other challenges, the big challenges you have as a manager?
I think some of the challenges is really having them understand the business side of some certain things, because I know a lot of our talent are friends with other influencers. So a lot of the challenge is having them talk about different opportunities that they may have received, and having that commotion affects the relationship that we have with the brand or the agency. So that gets really challenging, and I think that's been more of the challenge now versus before.
Because there are so many more opportunities.
Right.
Do you have any influencers under 18? Other than the dog.
Actually, he should be over 18.
In dog years.
Yeah, in dog years. Currently, no.
In the past?
Yes.
Have you run into stage moms and stage dads?
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
Understandably, quite well. We've been fortunate enough to not have not so controlling mom or dads. The relationships that we built with the parents have been very trusting, the same way that we have with our talent.
Do the parents even understand?
Sometimes no. Most of the time no. So no, wholeheartedly no, not all the time. I think what baffles them though, or what questions them, is how much their daughter or son is getting for an opportunity. Yeah.
I've had those conversations too.
I'm sure it was something that you had to clearly explain.
It was like, it just happens. It is.
You're
Embrace it.
Yeah, just say thank you.
Yeah, yes.
That's it.
What is your most memorable thing a client has ever done?
For me or ever?
Ever. Or for you?
Well,
We'll do A and B.
I hate admitting this, but every time one of our clients gets on stage is a moment where I tear a little bit, because the talent that we've worked with, or that I've personally worked with hands-on, I've worked with them since they were teenagers. So my oldest client that I've ever had, she was 15 when I signed her, and now she's 21. And so it's been a journey watching her and seeing her graduate high school to choosing a college, and then seeing her graduate college, and now she's transitioned into now working for corporate. So it's amazing. And so the moments that I see our clients on stage, like seeing Alicia on tour, or Mia on tour, or Adeline on tour, and seeing how the fans react, it's always emotional. And they know me for never having any emotion whatsoever. I never get mad, I never get sad. That's my rule. But, and it's just something that I make sure that I never show them, but that's always my moment.
What is your favorite platform? I'm going to do a little jumping around now.
Me personally, I absolutely love Instagram. Yeah. But I've been more of an Instagram story person now lately than the feeds.
What about Instagram TV, IGTV?
I haven't explored it yet, so I don't know.
How do you keep up, as a manager that you're online all day long? Right. How do you keep up with changes in the industry?
Oh gosh, I have to try and explore it as much as I can, and I think I read about it more than I actually play with it, and that's the one thing that I'm trying to figure out on myself personally, because I do want to separate every moment that I have with every platform, because I don't want to invest so much of my time into one thing, but it is something that I'm definitely trying to be better at. is really playing with each one.
We've talked about changes you've seen so far in the industry, but what do you see for the next 6 months and the next couple years?
Yeah. Right now, I mean, I'm seeing so much of the blend of traditional media and digital. Like, for example, if you drive down Sunset, you'll see the biggest billboard of Liza Koshy because of her series that she has on YouTube Red. And that's amazing. And I think that what we'll see within the next 6 months is more of that. More of the digital influencers or digital talent taking over a lot of the traditional media. We're gonna probably see a lot of influencers on traditional networks, like hosting or being the star or co-starring in different series.
Because they have a built-in audience.
Yes, exactly. We'll see more of the influencers really take over retail. I see that happening a lot. I see the bridge being crossed.
Is the genie out of the bottle?
Not really. Not yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
If somebody wanted to manage influencers, what advice would you have for them?
Have a lot of patience. Please have a lot of patience. Build your own structure, your own process, but make sure you have one. And make sure that you are also incredibly transparent when it comes to anything.
One last question.
Okay?
How can people find you?
Well, they can find us at mattermediagroup.com. And then Matter Media Group on Instagram and Matter Media Says on Twitter. And you can also email us at info@mattermediagroup.com.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
That's it for this time. If you enjoyed our podcast, please write a review on iTunes and tell your friends to subscribe. If you have any questions about influencers or suggestions for future episodes, email them to John at Pfeiffer@pfeifferlaw.com. Thank you for listening.